If God had to make signs to wake up the church, I don't think we could get more of a sign. This is more than any generation that we have seen. It's hard to preach prophecy, I tell you. It is hard because it used to be hard because some people love the world. But we're getting to the point where we got a lot of people fed up with the world and they're ready to leave, and I think they're ready to leave too soon. So we're kind of swinging the other way. But it's also hard for me to preach because almost every service I'm constantly trying to update the church on what's happening, because things in the Bible are being fulfilled so quickly, it's hard for people to keep up. It's no longer a question of whether the Bible's true. The Bible's obviously true, proven true, but we're having a hard time keeping up with what God said. That happened at the first coming. You know, there looked like prophecies that were not fulfilled for hundreds and even thousands of years, and then suddenly one after the other, right? From the time of Jesus being born to the time of his best friend betraying him, all of these things, then the crucifixion, then the resurrection. It's like one after the other. You could barely keep up with them. They were trying to figure out what it meant. You know, all these scriptures in the Old Testament, Jesus was revealing those scriptures that they read in real time. We are now in a place like that. I don't know if you realize, but I think it's no exaggeration to say that World War III may have just started. The headline this morning, Russian missile enters Polish airspace as Moscow lashes out at Ukraine after ISIS attack. So the moment that the attack happened, you know, over 100 people died in a concert. Again, concert, please just don't go to concerts, okay? Because right now, you have the concert killing in Israel, you got the concert killing in Moscow. That's where they're targeting, the soft targets. So over 100 people died. Now, they claim immediately, this is kind of, to me, this is like a mark of a psyop, because it was so quick that they claim who did it. Now, it takes a long time to figure out who did something. Remember 9/11? It took a long time. Well, they immediately, the U.S. media immediately said this is ISIS. Remember ISIS back in 2014? They coincided with the lunar tetrad, that big sign, 2014 to 2015, if you followed those signs. But they said it's ISIS. Russia is saying it's not ISIS. And they're saying they're going to tell who it is, and they've basically captured the four main perpetrators. They killed one of them, they tortured the other guy and got some confession out of him. But they believe that it's people paid for from Ukraine. And so what they did was they fired 57 missiles so far into Ukraine. One of it went over Polish airspace. Now that's the trigger to World War III, because basically America has no authority to be there at all. There's no reason for America to be there unless a NATO nation was attacked. Now Poland hasn't been attacked, but Poland's going to make a big cry, and America's going to make a big cry. You're going to hear this all through this weekend. You're going to hear it all through this week. Russia's got to be stopped. They're mad. They're dictators. They're horrible. And they're just trying to defend their country like we are trying to defend. We used to try to defend our country from the invasion from the south. So there's a lot of complexity and nuance about this, but I really think this is now the excuse. Once you've passed into NATO territory, that gives NATO supposedly the right to have war. And they don't want an October surprise. They want a 2024 surprise before the election. They want as much disruption and as much fear. Remember that, it's about fear. So if you're afraid, you're playing into their hand. You should not be afraid. Nothing that I say today should make you afraid. It's true, and yet I am not afraid. You understand that? So that's what's happening right now. I'm going to leave the news aside. I'm going to have to go into the Word of God, go into the signs, but I believe that these signs are telling us that we're in that season of war. We're in season of possibly World War III. Now you say, World War III, Pastor Steve, that you're saying it's the end. I am not. I am not. I count at least 6 world wars in the Bible. It's not good news. People think this is going to be one, but you know, a war that involves multiple continents, multiple players, which nearly all wars are going to involve now. So from here on out, you've got World War III, World War IV, World War V. I think the World War VI or VII will be at the very end of the millennium. So that's more than 1,000 years away. So there's a lot of things that's coming up. Let's get into it. If you haven't seen my YouTube, please write it down, Discover Ministries. Come and follow us, and we'll try to keep you updated. YouTube does censor us really actively, and more as we get into the election, they definitely do. So we ask people, if you really love us, want to support us, go to DiscoverChurch.Online, and we'll give the uncensored stuff at our online church app. Take a deep breath. Relax now, because it seems all very intense. All right? Remember, God wants to tell us not to hurt us, but to protect us and use us. And I like it when I'm given a kind of a bit of a timeline, right? If you're watching, we used to all watch, even from Australia, I watched the Super Bowl. Then they went woke, and then I kind of stopped watching it. I kind of like boycotted them. I kind of forgave them in the last Super Bowl, so I snuck back and watched it again. But I like it when they tell me, right, okay, we have so many downs left, and we have so many minutes left, and the clock is ticking, right? Because then everybody hustles a little bit more, and you think, well, why didn't you do that before? But people just don't. When you see 2 minutes on the clock, you see overtime, then suddenly everybody is like giving it their all. And that's how I feel about the end time message. I don't want you to be upset. I don't want you to freak out. But I want you to know the clock is now running. We are in, we're in the last, definitely not the last quarter, we're in like overtime. And we've got to hustle now. The stuff that we thought we have lots and lots of times to do, we don't. And we really need to work as a team. We need to get along, and we need to do what God has purposed us to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. Second seal, Revelation chapter 6, verse 3. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, "Come and see." And another horse, fiery red, not just red, but fiery red, went out. And it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that people should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. There's so much meaning to this, but I can only cover just like a portion of it for today. Red, what could it symbolize? Well, it can be blood, fire, war, communism, Marxism. They're all symbolized by red. Take peace from the earth. By the way, if you read that in Hebrew, it's very clear what it means. The word earth in Hebrew is eretz. Eretz is synonymous with the nation or the land of Israel. When you say the eretz, it can't mean the whole earth, but it specifically means Israel. So this verse was saying when the red horse comes, he will take peace from Israel. In other words, October 7 attack would happen. So on October 6, I put up a YouTube video and I says, war in Israel is imminent. And October 7 happened. Again, anything that doesn't happen immediately, they call me a false prophet. Anything that does happen immediately, they're all silent, waiting for my next prediction to call me some name or something. Very hard to please a lot of Christians. Anyway, it did happen. It's a tragedy, but God warned about it. The red horse would take peace from Eretz, Israel, by a great sword. There's only one religion in the world that's symbolized by a great sword. It's on the flag of Saudi Arabia. It is a religion of Islam. It is the sword of Islam that took peace away from Israel during the 3.5 years of the red horse. And more is coming. By the way, this was funny because I was here in Meridian having dinner, and I walked out of dinner, and my daughter says, "Look, red horse." Now, I've never, ever walked out of any venue, any restaurant, in any city, and was met by a red horse. But at the cycle, the season of the red horse, which is what we're in right now, and I'm going to preach in this church about it, I walked out and my daughter says, "Look, a red horse." And I said, "What street are we on?" I said, "No way. We're on 22nd Avenue. How many chapters in the book of Revelation? 22. How many letters in the Hebrew alphabet? 22. The Tav is the 22nd letter. So 22 follows my life all the time. I see the red horse on the 22nd Avenue. I said, I know I have to preach this to you. God, I could preach a lot of other things. I have to tell you about the red horse. Well, in the same weekend that Pastor Bowles invited me, I believe that, and this is no exaggeration, I've not said it like this before, I believe World War III has started. We haven't seen the full effect of it, but there was a major terrorist attack on a theater, a concert near Moscow, and Vladimir Putin has to respond to this. I'm just going to show you. It's horrific, but there are many angles of this. And these 4 terrorists just went in. People were enjoying their day, taking their kids or their spouse out, and supposed to enjoy a concert. And these 4 guys came in. So 4 terrorists murdered at least 145 concert attenders. The Kremlin says that Russia is now in a state of war. This is what Ukraine couldn't do. We've been trying to provoke Russia into war before the election, but even with Ukraine, we fight at proxy. You know, we just send over money, we send over arms. So technically, it's not a war against, with America, but America's active. But this now really brings NATO involved. Now they say that ISIS, they're buffoons. They claim responsibility for things all the time that they have nothing to do with. Even if it agrees with their goal, they'll say, yeah, we take responsibility. So right away, ISIS says they claim responsibility. The US media ran with that narrative. So fast, by the way. Usually it takes time. 9/11, remember, it took a lot of time. It took us even months to finally say, okay, we think that it's Osama bin Laden, and then we go and attack the wrong country or something like that. So it's very strange. Osama bin Laden is Saudi. We never attack the Saudis. So some things that make me puzzle over this, I don't have the full story, but I'm going to give you the part of the story that I understand. If ISIS is responsible, we've got a lot of questions. Why did the 4 attackers hide their faces? Okay, because proud Islamic martyrs, they do not ever hide their faces. They want to be known. In fact, they will make a pre-attack video to glorify Allah. But we don't have any of that. They're hiding their faces. Number 2, why is it that none of the attackers shouted Allahu Akbar, which is what they always shout? They say their Allah is greater. That's what it means. Greater than who? Well, greater than you, greater than your God, greater than your religion. They always shout that. Allahu Akbar. They'll always talk about Allah, 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 Allah all the time. When you hear these, terrorist attacks, there's one word that you're going to discern in Arabic is Allah. Not once did they use that word during the attack, nor did they use the word during the interrogation. Okay? ISIS publishes videos usually before the attack. We have none. The attackers left the concert within 2 minutes, right? A couple of minutes before the Russian special forces arrived. They ran and they hid themselves. That is not Islamic martyrdom. Number 5, they were caught fleeing at the Ukrainian border. And Putin claimed that they had handlers who had promised them a window or a safe passage into Belarus. And Alex Jones, whether you believe him or not, he's been pretty accurate. Alex Jones has claimed that it's actually NATO or a CIA cutout. Okay, a cutout, you know what the term cutout means, yeah? A CIA cutout. So when the CIA wants to do something, but they don't want to have responsibility, they form another group or they hire another group to do exactly what they want to do, but they're not going to take responsibility. So it's called a cutout. So Alex Jones says he has evidence that it's a CIA cutout to do what? To provoke World War III. Now you look at these guys. Sorry for the guy's been abused. His ear's been cut off. So they caught 3 of the terrorists. They interrogated them, Russia style, like cut your ear off. They killed one of them. They found out that each of these guys were promised only $5,000 US. It's a 500,000 rubles, the Russian rubles, but that's only $5,000. Imagine taking 100 lives for merely $5,000. They said they were contacted anonymously through Telegram, and they were not paid. They were not fully paid. That was their complaint after they got arrested. Now, question, do these guys look like ISIS terrorists? The typical guys with the beard, Middle Eastern? Not at all. Don't they look European to you? Dmitry Medvedev, the chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, says, if it is established that these terrorists are of the Kiev regime, it is impossible to deal with them and their ideological inspirers differently. All of them must be found and mercilessly destroyed as terrorists, including officials of the state that committed such atrocity, death for death. So Russia is not like America, where we give safe passage and money and driving license and even guns. You know, the Obama appointed judge said last week, illegals can buy and own guns. Is that amazing? Russia's not like us. Russia says no mercy on people who kill our civilians while watching a concert. And they got some information out of torturing these guys, and I think they're going to show proof that this does not lead to ISIS. This is going to be leading over to NATO, which is us, by the way. What's curious is you got John Kirby. He's the White House National Security Communication Advisor. And 2 weeks ago, he said this. Have a look at this, because America will usually give out a warning to American citizens that are in a particular foreign location. So he said this 2 weeks ago.
Put out a notice to all Americans in Moscow to avoid any large gathering, concerts, obviously shopping malls.
Wait. You gotta hear that again. Are you kidding? The very first thing he said.
Put out a notice to all Americans in Moscow to avoid any large gathering, concerts, obviously shopping malls, anything like that.
How does John Kirby know that an attack would happen on Russian soil at a concert 2 weeks ago? I believe that these people really want war with Russia before the November 5th election, and they want to blame Russia for starting it. So when Russia retaliates, the narrative here will be, Russia started it. But the narrative in Russia will be, we were just living in peace. We weren't doing anything, and we're getting attacked right in our capital city. But I think this is what the mainstream media is controlled by in the United States.
End Time University is a comprehensive online school. This will prepare you for the last days in the shortest amount of time. Over the course of this year-long program, you will gain the necessary tools and skills for what the Bible promises will come in the book of Revelation. ETU has a world-renowned faculty that have joined together to instill their many decades of Bible knowledge into this concise course. Visit endtimeuniversity.online to find out more about this amazing course. This program is made possible by the friends and partners of USA Church. And remember, don't give up, look up.